animals. And that's because children and animals are unpredictable and they're hard to control. But also, they are cuter than us, and they often tend to upstage us. So you just saw that. And personally, I like to say it's a little bit of both. Luckily, with the magic of editing, the podcast God gave us, we can use that to our benefit, which we'll get to in a minute. A little history. My father was a preacher, and I used to travel around with him. And when he would, for lack of a better word, audition for a new job, he would trot me out on stage, and I was so happy to just show off my prepubescent soprano voice and sing for the church. And I'm not going to do it for you today because I fell skateboarding with my kid. I pulled a groin muscle. But just rest assured, it was me and Mariah growing up. Me and Mariah. So anyway, family and entertainment have always been linked in my life. Now, I've never been one to listen to self-help tapes. If that's your bag, that's cool. Well, I just said cassette tapes, which kind of dates myself. I'm at a podcasting convention, and I just said the word cassette tapes. But anyway, I never listened to self-help tapes or read self-help books, but I read this awesome quote when I was researching this topic from Tony Robbins, and a person interviewing him asked, how do we maintain success and keep a work-life balance? And he just looked at her flatly and he said, work-life balance is bullshit. And he said, that's why I have incorporated my kids and my wife into my business with me. And see, I love that quote for two reasons. One, because I told you I was a church kid and I get to curse because it's a direct quote. But the second reason I love that is because he knew that there was going to be a sacrifice in one of his efforts, either business or family, and he said, that's not good enough. I'm going to marry the two, and we're going to be successful. And I think a lot of us get it wrong a lot of the time. We're either staring at our smartphones and we're ignoring our kid when we should be talking to them. Our kids are in a minivan watching DVDs instead of learning about the great land around them, or Philly.
Philly!
Put your batteries away, Joe. But no, Joe is a great example of this. You've seen his podcast, right? At least pretend you haven't clapped for him.
Yeah.
Okay, but he's holding a baby on his shoulder during his podcast, right? And it doesn't take anything away from the show. Actually, it humanizes him. It builds a connection, personal connection with his audience. Now, of course, we have to sacrifice things like sleep in our lives as we edit our podcast. You all edit your podcast, correct? And we can't always have a screaming baby on our shoulder when we're doing things like interviewing TV stars, right? Or important people for our podcast. But there are definitely times that you can, again, marry your family with your podcast. Now, when my son came up here, wonderfully.
Woo! Did a great job.
You got a glimpse into how it really goes when we podcast. He flubs and I get frustrated, but what you didn't see was how many times sometimes it takes me to get out a sponsored post right, or a sponsored bit right, and all of the times I mess up, or the times when we have to re-record the show because we didn't know that the memory card ran out and we recorded half an hour. All of these things have happened to you, right? Mm-hmm. And if you are successful, you just have to soldier on and deal with it. And that's what my son is learning. He's learning how to soldier on and change with the pace of things. And when he sees something goes wrong, he sees how to fix it and move on. Now, he is the camera operator for his primary school morning show. And when he first started, the principal came up to me and he goes, "Oh my gosh, he's doing things we have never seen before." He's panning the camera. He's moving it up and down. The other day, you're not going to believe this. The other day, I was giving the kids their vocabulary word for the day, and he zoomed in on my face. And Oh man, I lost my place there. Oh, gracious.
Kids will do it to you.
Kids will do it too. But no, he's learning how to edit in Adobe Premiere Pro. He sets up lights, he sets up mics, and these are the jobs of the future. And this is on-the-job training for him, and it's fun. So you need to give your kids a step up above their contemporaries. Okay, you need to let them help behind the scenes. If this is a problem for you because it's frustrating, then this is a lesson in patience for you. This is something you need to learn as your kids become, more hateful and jaded human beings. Children are also bring you a fresh perspective and a fresh view on things that, give you a different look at the way things are going. And I'm wrapping it up now, but I'll give you one great example. We just started a new series on our podcast called Retro versus Contemporary. And we look at a show from my youth and then the new version, the usually lousy version that they're making now. So we did Boy Meets World versus Girl Meets World. And I thought this one's gonna be easy peasy, super simple. They're both silly kid shows for me to watch, tons of stuff to pick through. Cut to me and my wife sitting on the couch with Carlin, and there are 7th graders making out in the hall, and the older brother is taking a girl into his parents' bedroom and closing the door. And I've got sweat beating down my face. My wife is staring daggers at me. And I could have stopped the show, but we got a podcast to record, right? So I stopped clutching my pearls long enough to get through the episode. But it led to a really meaningful conversation with my kid. And hopefully it's going to lead to another meaningful conversation for another parent and their child. I got her on time. So this is what podcasting is to me. Video, a vodcast on Facebook Live. The medium doesn't matter. What matters is that it's a close and personal conversation that your audience gets to sit in on. And what better way than to start that close and personal conversation with the most special and important people in your life.
Yeah.
Good job, boy.
Woo!
Thank you so much. I know, that was awesome. That was awesome. Good job, CJ. How do you put up with him?
I buy his food.
You're not really sure. All right. So our next speaker came all the way from California. Yeah. To go with what Tom Tate said, my Facebook ad worked, and that's how she found out about this conference today, and didn't let 3,000 miles get in her way of coming here. So she's going to talk about the choreography of the conversation. And while I thought her name was Bonet, it's actually Bone. It's spelled B-O-N-E, but I figured that was too plain. There's no way that somebody who's a dancer and there's no way that could be. But I'd like to welcome to the stage Annette Bone.
Annette!
You guys hear me?
Yes.
So I have a question for you. Who here likes to dance? Okay, cool. Okay, so who here thinks that they're a good dancer? You got the moves, you're trained, you've got to go on. Okay.
This guy right here.
Who here likes to dance, but you think, I don't have the best rhythm, I have 2 left feet, but you know what?
That's
Get me
me.
to a party, I'll start the party train, I'll be the first one dancing, I don't care. Who's that?
Me.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you know what? I think that actually is more important than being trained sometimes, because dance is about expression and communication and just having fun. And I think that, who cares, right? If you're having a good time, just go for it, right? And so what does dance have to do with podcasting? Well, for me, it has everything to do with podcasting, because my podcast is about dance and business, my 2 biggest passions. And I get to interview dancers and choreographers who are entrepreneurial, whether they're artistic directors, or they've started dance organizations, or they've developed products online and offline, as well as professional dancers who have other side projects going, and they have their professional careers, and they've danced with some of the biggest names that you've seen in the industry. And it's one of my favorite things to do. I love having these conversations with these artists. And So, my name is Annette, and I am a dance nerd. I love everything about dance. I love taking classes in different styles, different levels, different teachers, different studios. I also love to study about dance, and I love the kinesiology and the physiology, learning hacks like how to turn better, how to do turnout better, that kind of thing. And I believe that the choreography of conversation starts with yourself. Now, there's two different aspects of dance, basic elements. There's the choreography aspect where you have a teacher or a choreographer give you a predetermined set of steps that take you from A to B, and so you have it in class, whether it's in a performance or in class. And then you have the freestyle improvisation aspect where it's very spontaneous and organic and free-flowing. And sometimes a choreographer will implement aspects of freestyle improvisation within the choreography and vice versa. Now, I know dancers that are really good at taking someone's choreography and they can kill it, and they're just awesome. And then I know dancers that are more in the freestyle improvisation area, and they can come up with stuff and they kill it too. But the thing is, I think a good dancer knows how to do both, because sometimes you can put someone in a different environment and they don't know what to do. It's like they don't know how to dance. As a podcaster, I think you need to be able to do both. You need to have this structure within your show and then have that freedom to freestyle and improv within that show. And I believe that the choreography of conversation starts first and foremost with yourself. And 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago, over 20 years ago actually, the choreography of conversation within myself was all wrong. I gave up dance and became very depressed and very angry and had a lot of victim thinking. And it started this downward spiral of depression and anxiety and massive weight gain. And I was very, very, very unhappy. So fast